something, but it's not about ethics and the science, then you can deal with that. But the types of things we're talking about, like, informed consent and complaints and all that, he would have no clue what to do. Like, he would still say, oh, he will call your due and your deputy to help him with legislation. So all the things that have to do with research and approvals and things like this are done. But there's something else I've just remembered. She talked about the RIO, which is an office we have started in all university. It's the research or the research integrity officer. But this is new. We did a research misconduct study. Then one of the end products was to set up the RIO office. Someone was even identified and a space was provided, but it has never been opened or used, the office. So you can see, so this would be another office where if there are issues about research, they will take it. All right.
I just wanted to say something now to members. So I have given a question, just one which I asked Professor Daniel, which is how long do we have to finalize our SOPs? And I did tell her that the SOPs that we started out with are not SOPs that we developed along the line because we were already reviewing proposals. We took all of the SOPs from the Javi and we just formatted them as ours in our application process, which at the time Javi told us that that's how they would be experienced. So Nani also said that that's fine, but we need to incorporate it to so that was something that's really nice.
Yeah, so the point is you shouldn't be on draft 0 and you're running the committee, you should be on draft 1. And so you need to own it. So you need to go through it and see what it is you want to tweak, to customize to what you're doing, and things like that. But I assume you already had done that when you were planning to post it.
So yes, they were tweaked, but the tweaking wasn't in the content itself. It weren't reviewing material yet to know what would be relevant, what would be relevant.
I think I would say consider doing that as soon as possible. Yeah, it's
Our review volumes are pretty small, so it's
sounds good. So appointment to the ethics committee. Who appointed you to the ethics committee? So how did they decide who gets it appointed and who doesn't? Did you have to volunteer or did you?
Well, we had to go volunteer. We had to go around people were interested in some ways
Were there any conflicts? Just wondering if there were 3 nursing staff who wanted to be there, you had to pick one or 2, or 3 surgeons and you wanted one. Okay, how did you settle on Mr. James as your leader?
So Mr. James, at the time, our chaplain, Reverend Amos, I talked to him about if he could recommend some people from the community who had more information to go in. And he presented Mr. James and some of that information. Then we all of them talked, and Mr. James was more available than that was how Mr. James made those
You get a letter in your files when you're getting appointed. Each of you got a letter. And in the letter it's clear why you're being appointed, for how long you're going to be appointed, and what you're expected to do. Or it was an SMS.
It wasn't an SMS. It was one letter with all the names listed. I think at the time I just shared it out. There was an I,
it's good now. With time, we know what the functions are, and the tenure seems to be clear. Most of the IRB, yes, James.
You have a letter, you make 2 years.
So there's the period, yes, and it's good to have a letter for disappointments and the terms of reference. Let's say, I don't know what kind of terms of reference you have, and you talk about the way to work on the SOPs and things like that. Do you meet monthly? When you meet monthly, who has what roles? Things like that. Are we going to be renewing the SOP every 2-3 years? Do we some IRECs now have 2 laymen or lay people? Because you can't have an ethics committee meeting without the lay person, and sometimes the day you want them to come, they can't come. Their son is getting married, or they've gone, they're away. You see what I mean? It's a reality. They may be away, and so you can't have the meeting. So think about that. We've seen people who choose to have 2 people, and things like that. And just thinking about, because people need to commit to the committee. Like I said, it's not any other committee. So when you're signing that confidentiality that you will give your work, you will volunteer and work on this, you work for the next 3 years or whatever, you do that. Now, when you have like now, you already had the team appointed, then people started either transferring, things happened. Were you involved? Did you have a role in the appointments of the replacements as a chair? Or any of the members, were they involved in helping identify and appoint the replacements?
Yes, once we had a board and we were meeting, we got recommendations for some folks and we voted actually on the replacements.
So it's you.
I am very happy.
I think you are, from what I've been hearing you say. Well done. So now, after the disappointment, so you usually, like in where I come from in Moi, the chair has recommends, because when they go to the appointment, they have no clue to pick. They don't know what kind of, even if you describe to them who got the kind of person, they still push the ball back to the chair, which is not very kind. So we have a lot of that happening, and then the chair sort of has to call that person to first get to know if they are interested in being on the committee. Because our appointing authority doesn't, we wouldn't want to write a letter and then you say no. There's sort of that unwritten code. So, and because we have lots of protocols and all that, sometimes people don't want to be on the committee. But they want to send their protocols to be reviewed. So, yeah, it's about it. So, I think the key thing to remember here is that the chair and the vice chair, you have a role to keep the CMO, or is that what you call it, chief? The appointing authority aware about your role, the tasks, the functions, your needs, what's going on, and when you need reappointments and also new appointments. Sometimes it helps to have a bigger committee than a smaller one, so that you don't keep getting people. And I think Nakosi allows up to 21. They recommend, I think, 7 up to 21 or something like that, but I think 15 is a good number. Because if you go below 7, then you're very few, or at least 2. Now, this is the heart of the SOP, and that's why I started talking about it. We're really excited talking about this. This is the heart of the workings of the committee. So it's so important that you make time. I think you can't even miss me to go through that SOP and just understand it. This is the document we're working on. And these are just some of the examples of the sections of the document that need to be very clear. How often do we meet? How are the meetings conducted? How do we review the protocols? And we want to reinforce that today. How do you even communicate the approval? There's a lot of SOPs around that also, many guidelines. How do we have the monitoring done? What are the templates you use for that? How often? Like what I was making suggestions, like if you have very few protocols, very few, you can even do a whole census or visiting all the projects or not. How many people go to do a monitoring? Is it 2? Is it 1? Does the secretary do it with one other person from the committee? That's also okay. submission of a report to the CM, to your lead here. Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? But of course the one for NACOST is annually. And then what happens when you have to say, hey, integrity issues here or things you have to stop a study? What kinds of things do you do? So these are the types of things I've seen in the SOPs in other Isercs. But like you said, because yours is starting, you may not have a lot of and all these things happening. You may not have a lot of resolutions to deal with or appeals. But it's good to think about it. But the beauty is, when that happens, there are other Isercs already with these templates. You just let us know and we can guide you. And say, oh, other Khan has that, or you know what I mean, Abete has that, or things like that. Right? So, do you want to look at your SOP or you will do that? I just want to show you, can I show you an example of medics committee's table of content for their SOP? So that I hope I won't lose this page. This one has nothing to do with this, has to do with my MIT challenge, and that's it. And I'm using a PDF. The sentence here.
I think the connection
Already started. Yeah.
Hello.